Long time no see, L5 dedicated to fans. Today I bring forth a review of a little big game called Oxenfree, which I also got for free from Games with Gold. Oxenfree is a 2016 video game developed and published by Night School Studios, a developer with a name so relatable it scared me before I even started playing. So Night School is made up of former Telltale Games employees, Sean Krankel and his cousin Adam Hines. It's starting to seem that I cannot escape the grasp of Telltale's influence. Am I destined to repeat this again? Questions like this drive the narrative of Oxenfree. Oxenfree plays like a teen novel or coming-of-age movie, where the ordinary turns into the anything but the ordinary. The nights you kinda wished happened, but never did. You take on the role of Alex, and accompany her and her friends as they spend a night on an unpopulated and unassuming island. That is until a fun experiment which reveals a supernatural occurrence, at which point you work to reverse that which is unfolded. This game is played in a 2.5D perspective, and the story is driven by a walk and talk mechanic, with any given dialogue options being restricted to 4 choices, one of which is to not say anything. Depending on how you handle these conversations, outcomes for certain characters can change, but not so much as to revamp the game's 2 endings. Oxenfree is a mysterious, fun, and oftentimes spooky experience, albeit without combat. This game involves exploration and story to bring you something that connects the player to the game in a way that simultaneously serves its own narrative and comments on the act of playing the game itself. At least that's what I got out of it. It's a smart premise that I'm wholeheartedly trying not to spoil. For all its fourth wall breaking awesomeness, there are points I feel I should point out. The game's a short one, perhaps on purpose to encourage multiple playthroughs. I did end up playing this game 3 times. But at the end of each playthrough, I felt that the story could have been a tad more fleshed out. Give us something to bite on, You feel me? And I suppose it's a good thing that you move through the environment at a snail's pace, because otherwise we'd be finished it even faster. The lack of mechanics, you walk, climb ledges, and talk and operate a radio. That's it. That's all you do. I played my 3rd playthrough one-handed. One hand on my controller and one hand on my cell phone. That's what happened. The voice acting overall is pretty solid. The cast plays the roles of awkward teenagers very well, annoyingly so even. Although I feel that when the game gets to some of its more climactic parts, the voice acting kind of doesn't match the direness of a certain situation, and I found myself kind of taken out of some moments when they should have had my full attention. And while we're on the topic of sound, the soundtrack is perfectly moody, at times unnerving, and at other times whisking you away to its retro and futuristic soundscape. Perhaps one of those games you'll listen to long after you're done playing it. The art style is a double-edged sword that in every frame looks like it was pulled straight out of a storybook, beautiful and painterly, smooth and unique. But the 2.5D angle of the game leads to some seriously weird level design. You'll find yourself being annoyed by zigzagging through the same locations over and over at that snail's pace that I did mention earlier. But also, like I mentioned earlier, I played through this game 3 separate times. Each time I finished it, I unraveled a bit of the mystery. I changed things slightly. The first game's ending was perfect in its own way, and you could totally leave it on that note. But as I got back to the main menu, I was greeted with a New Game Plus option. Decisions made in your previous game influenced the new game in seriously clever ways. It was made to be played like this. Even on the 3rd playthrough, even though I knew there was only 2 endings, I could be wrong, but I feel the game threw new creepy bits into it where they weren't there before. There's a new wave of game capitalizing on Telltale's success, and they're bringing their own flavor to the pot, and I wholeheartedly welcome them into the kitchen. Like Life is Strange before Oxenfree, these developers are exploring new ways to engage the audience. Oxenfree eliminated cutscenes, and Life is Strange added a rewind mechanic. These are the kind of strides that are leaving Telltale in the dust. Killer be killed, dog eat dog. Oxenfree is a special little game. At its core, it's a story about kids facing the supernatural. Who doesn't love that? Stranger Things, anyone? While telling the story, it also breaks walls between the player and the nature of gaming itself, exploring the rule of diminishing returns in its own story and the story the player creates for oneself while sitting down to play it. Save for some awkward design choices and not always consistent voice acting, the game rates high, an 8 out of 10 for me. I'd love to talk about it in the comments provided anybody watches this here video. Thanks again for watching another Macbeth Gaming review, and cheers folks! Night School is made up of formal Alex or Alexandra, and accompany her blah 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 blah.